What's going on, metalheads? It's Death Metal Dave in your face here on MetalMessiahRadio.com. And as I promised, we're going to do a Curtis Beeson tribute. And longtime friend of mine, a Nasty Savage, good friends of mine through all the members. And yeah, I can't say enough good things about Curtis and Nasty Savage too. Curtis, like I said earlier, was an influence from the Tampa, Brandon, Florida, U.S., and world. He was an influence on a lot of people. He's a fucking badass drummer. And I have a special guest with me who's a regular on here, and he's known Curtis way longer than me. And he was in a band with him for a long time. It's Mr. Nasty Ronnie of Nasty Savage. What's up, Ronnie?
Hey, Dave. How you doing, man?
What's going on, man?
Great to be on your show, and I appreciate the time you're giving today to memorialize Curtis Beeson, and that's the main reason I'm calling, because we lost a great, person, not only an awesome drummer and everything else, but it's just a sad situation that, Curtis was battling a brain tumor for over 11 or 12 years. He's off and on, back to normal, then had to go back in, and he was a fighter, man, and just I love him so much, and the family of the whole family, and Audrey and Sanford and their mom was always there, part of Nasty Savage. And Curtis is just an amazing, special kind of guy, man, and he was funny, he was serious. One thing about him, man, if he had your back, he had your back, man. And he'd take on a buzzsaw and give it the first 5 rounds, man, and he was just a unbelievable drummer. He's so unique. And, when we lose people like this, we start thinking about how special they were and the times we shared together, man, over, 20 years for sure. The band's Nasty Savage has been together 40 years, but 20 years ago we ended with the Psycho album, and now it's 40 years. But when you're a part of something, you stay a part for life, man. That's how we were, man. It was a brotherhood, and we went through a lot of ups and downs, man, and created that demo tape and got signed and did all those tours, and so many things we did together, and the whole band, and we've had tragedy in the band by losing Richard Bateman, by losing Chris Morehouse, by losing the original drummer Craig Huffman, and now Curtis Beeson is added to that list. And life is short, people, make the most of it. And it's a sad time, but we got to remember the Shark, that he was just an awesome individual, and his songs that he was a part of, not only Nasty Savage, but that legacy that he leaves behind is there forever, man. And it's always going to be there to enjoy. And he's just an amazing person, brother. I can't thank you enough for having this show and a tribute to Curtis Beeson.
Yeah, I've always heard the name The Shark. And where does that come from? I think it comes from Accept. I'm not sure. Fast as a Shark?
Well, it was just that was, everybody's got a nickname. It was Iceman Ben because he worked in an ice plant. Glitter Dave because he has all that blonde hair, glitter stuff. And Nasty Ron. And Fred was that mysterious guy. And Curtis was the Shark because he moved fast and attacked fast. It was way before Accept. He was already the Shark.
Okay, gotcha.
And that was just his nickname, like people get nicknames, and Curtis was the Shark. I guess he moved fast, and any water he was in, he was an attacker. He was a predator.
Yeah.
And a predator in a good sort, not a bad predator. He was a predator, like to kill, and he was, because that's how he acted. He was, if you messed with him, he would attack. And he attacked those drums like no one else, and he inspired so many people. And speaking of that, we lost our a lot of gear in the Pete's place where we jammed at.
Yeah.
And Sanford Beeson reached out and said, "Hey, man, Jim, if you want, you can use Curtis's drums. I'll let you have them, or give them to you to use." And how cool is that, man?
Yeah.
When he reached out and wanted to, carry on those skins, for someone else to use, but still under the banner of Nasty Savage. I mean, I thought that was a lot of class right there.
Fuck yeah.
They're going through some hard times right now. And, everybody should say a prayer for the Beeson family because they lost, Curtis was a legendary man. He was a legendary drummer, but he was a legendary part of the Beeson family, and with the compound, and there's all kinds of stories, and he was a very unique type of person, and he had a heart of gold too, man.
Their family was really supportive of Nasty Savage, from what I understand. The whole family.
Oh yeah, that was where we practiced, and Adrian Beeson was our first manager, and he tried his best to get us, in the right direction. We had that big tour bus he got that time, and tore it up and went to World War III Festival, played with Possessed, Voivod, Destruction, and Celtic Frost, and Sanford was on that trip with John and Lance and Rick Alter, and we all took this trip, man, and we went through the ups and downs of that bus, and we've got a lot of stories to tell, and you can never take those stories back. Sometimes things happen, ups and downs, but you can't take history away. And we all feel the pain losing a brother, a band member, and you just reflect back on those times that we all had together, and you really got to cherish those moments. And that's what I'm saying, people, cherish the moments with the people you love. And Curtis was a fighter, though, but you just never know about life, man.
Hey, I got a question. There's a popular picture that you can find on the internet of Curtis fucking shooting fire from behind the drums. What's the story behind that?
Well, that's the shark in motion, man, and that's how he was. He was a Kiss fan, but I think his blows away Gene Simmons. And
fuck yeah, it does.
I remember, man, so many shows in these little bars with low ceilings, and seeing the flame just roll across the ceiling and not catch anything on fire. And there's a few times where I had to put out a fire behind the drums. Like at the London Victory Club, I had a towel and was put out a fire from his flame, and that was just one of his gimmicks that he did. I did TVs and smash stuff and, crazy shit. And Curtis would always blow fire, man. It was a highlight of any show when he did that. And there's a story about this place, Cardi's in Texas. It was Dallas area. And actually that night, it was early in our career, the dudes from Pantera were there, and they wanted us to come back to their house afterwards and hang out and listen to their new album. So they had like the afros and stuff in the spandex, but they were Savage fans. And that night, Curtis blew fire, and I watched it roll across the top of this club. I thought we were going to burn up, man. Luckily, it didn't catch on fire, and those kids were freaking out. We went to their house. We ended up sleeping on the floor in their living room, and we listened to their album about 10 times, man. It was just, those days like that, we remember just laughing and sharing those moments. But Curtis was, when he blew that fire, man, it was like something coming out of him, and it's something you never forget. And you could feel the heat, man. It was like, there was no fire marshal shit ever. It was just, we pulled it off every time. Thank God.
When did you first meet Curtis, and how did all that go down?
Well, there's a special photo. There's one photo of us playing poolside before David was in the band. Craig Huffman was drumming, and Curtis is in the background leaning on this fence with his girlfriend watching us. And that was before he was ever in the band. But what happened is, after Craig left the band, we needed another guitarist, and we were looking for another drummer. And then someone was saying, well, Curtis Beeson, man, he's a drummer, and he's got equipment. And he had a truck because his dad had this trucking company, and he had drums and a PA. So we went after Curtis. We said, dude, we want you to be in Nasty Savage. And that's how we all met together. And then at the same time, we acquired David Austin, and that rounded out the band to do the demo tape. And, but that's the first time I met Curtis. And he always had that energy, like, Ronnie, hey, he's always upbeat and he's ready to do anything. You know, he was straight edge. He didn't drink, smoke, party, or anything. But one night after practice, I got him to smoke a joint with me, and he was all fucked up, and it was just funny, man. He was just a one of a kind guy, and I mean, he loved to look at porn magazines, and he had tons of them. And I never forget, we went to Europe for the first time, and we went into Denmark, and those porno shops, they have full out porno that you can't see in America. And it was in hog heaven, man. You know, it was just, we were all excited, but Curtis loved it more than anything. And, you know, it's just those little things you remember. And there's so many things you can't remember, you know. So you really got to register those fun times. But his flame throwing thing was a real special treat. And I don't know how he did it, because he put that stuff in his mouth, like lighter fluid or something, with gasoline mixture, and then he spit it out. And it's like that was more hardcore than anything I could have ever done, you know. And he's just an amazing guy.
Yeah, one of these days I'll have Sanford on here too, man. He's a character himself too. His brother, Sanford.
Oh yeah, the whole Beeson clan, man. They're like the Hatfields and McCoys.
Yeah.
On the Hatfield side, you know, then they have the compound, and, you know, they were just the finger, you know, that wooden finger that they put on the house.
Yeah.
And one time there was an alligator in their pool, and they kept it there for a few days, and they had big parties there. When we partied, we had a whole room just devoted to Nasty Savage. We called it the Dungeon of Pleasure, and that's where that kind of song originated. And we put all the fan mail and posters and all the pictures of girls they would send us, Polaroids back then. We'd put them all up in there, and it was the mainstay. I remember practicing there, and Chuck and Rick and Cam came over before they even had a band, before Mantis, and they came over and we let them jam on our equipment, and they were starting to play this heavy stuff. I'm like, God damn, that's some heavy shit, you know. So the Beeson family and household in Brandon, it was a mainstay for people to come and get a chance to see us practice, or drive by, or the neighbors were all offended. They put a bird finger, it was a 4x8 piece of plywood. Curtis cut it out into a bird finger and put it onto the house, man, right at the top of the house, so all the neighbors could see it, man. They were hardcore, man, to the max. It was a big part of the whole movement of 80s metal through the Beeson household, and with Curtis Beeson's house, man, it was a compound in itself. First time I ever met his mom, me and Dave were together, David Austin, and she was changing a transmission on one of them roll carts. You lay down carts, you know, and she was changing a transmission, she had oil on her face. She's under there wrenching on this truck, man. And, you know, and his dad, Adrian, was so much into baseball that he'd be inside watching baseball all the time. And that's where he named Sanford after Sanford Koufax, like Sandy Koufax, and Dizzy. His other brother was up to Dizzy Dean. And, you know, so he was really into baseball, and we learned a lot from him. And, good and the bad, it all comes together, and you just gotta honor that, man. And we gotta honor Curtis tonight. And if you guys have stories of Curtis, send them in, text, whatever, get them to Dave. Maybe Dave could read them on the air. And I don't want to take up all your time, brother, because I know you got a lot going on, but I really wanted to call and give Curtis a tribute that he so deserves, and it just let him know I love him, and I've always loved him, and then the whole band feels the pain that the family's going through, and all the bands he's touched and tours, and you know, he's done a lot. He's got a good body of work there.
Hell yeah, he does. And we're gonna play some Lowbrow, Havoc Mass, Denial, Fiend, Fester, Singod, and of course Nasty Savage. And
yeah, man, that's his body of work there, and about 11 years ago we did the first benefit for him, and it brought Nasty Savage back together to play with play this show with Curtis. And the metal community came out strong, man. There were bands like Glenn Benton was there, The Obituary. There people came out. Chris Jericho was there and donated stuff. And, it was really great to see how the metal community came out and supported that. And, and that's when we just found out he was ill and had some problems going on. And, and here he battled that stuff, man. What a fighter. Went through a lot of shit. He just kept on rolling, man. So he was a fighter. Don't ever forget that, people. And let's be like Curtis and fight. Because he was a fighter, man. If anything, just remember that.
Fuck yeah. Appreciate it, Ronnie.
All right, man.
You want to introduce this next song?
Is it the one we were talking about?
Yes, sir. And who's the highlight of it?
Yeah, Welcome Wagon is about kind of being welcome in 3 different stages I'm talking about on this. But the coolest thing is you hear this doorbell at the beginning, and it's Faye Beeson, which is Curtis's mom. And then at the end of the song, she says, well, I guess no one's home. So we got her to do that in the studio, and it was an honor to have her on there because she's one of the coolest ladies, and she birthed the Beeson boys, man. And Audrey, so that's their mom, man. And it's just great to have her on there. So you'll get a kick out of it, guys. If you never knew who it was, now you know.
Yeah, and she goes and supports everything. I see her at all the shows that Curtis was at.
Oh man, they love Curtis, man. They're hurting right now, people. And if you can, just say a prayer for Curtis, say a prayer for his family. Reach out, make a post, let people know we're not forgetting him. After a week or two, when he left us, the hurricane came, so he was right there in the hurricane, man, like a crossfire hurricane, like that Rolling Stones song, "We're Jumpin' Jack Flash," and our album came out right at the hurricane. So many things just happened that the studio where we practiced got flooded. It all happened during this freaking hurricane bullshit.
Yeah, in between the both of them.
Yeah, and we'll overcome this, but make the most of your lives. If I could say anything to you guys, welcome Wagon, welcome people, and be good to each other. And that's all we can do and celebrate today. Like there's a line in Southern Fried Homicide that says, joy and sorrow today and tomorrow. What greater crime than the loss of time? Make the most of it, guys, and God bless you guys.
All right, Ronnie, I love you, brother.
Love you too, man. Thanks for everything you do, Dave.
Thank you, brother, and I'll talk to you later.
All
right.
Thank you.
All right, bitches, we're doing the fucking playing Nasty Savage, Singod, Fester, Denial Fiend, and Havoc Mass, and Lowbrow. All right, bitches, crank it up. It's Death Metal Dave, and a tribute to Curtis Beeson, the Shark. In your face, bitches, crank it up. It's Death Metal Dave here on MetalMessiahRadio.com.